Morning, my fellow human beings. Dion here, Dion Harper. We're backing ourselves into a corner. It's just that simple. We're a subspecies of mammal and we reside on a finite nature planet. If we don't come to terms with that basic truth, we are in trouble. I think it's embarrassing where we're at this timeline that we're in right now. I think it's embarrassing. And I think it's embarrassing because we could do better. We should do better. We should be doing better. The system we live by. Have you ever asked yourself what's its long-term objective? I mean, beyond the short-term profit margins-based outcome side of things. Have you ever asked yourself that fundamental question? Should be. I mean, you're democratically endorsing it every political cycle, every election cycle. It's just the mandates we endorse that we give our political representatives, our public representatives. So we turn around and we bark at our politicians and we say, we'll address the climate change problem, etc., etc., etc. But have we ever factored in, that we're the ones that give them their mandates? So we're empowering them to do what they do. So, it's this timeline we're in, as I said, it's embarrassing. We need to do better, my fellow human beings. We need to ask the hard questions. It's like all of us, we work all our lives via the system that we live by with the assumption that we're doing it for our children and then their children, etc., etc. But is that actually true if what we're doing is going to affect our children's children for a very long time into the future? That sort of mindset. So bigger pictures wise, we're going to sit down and ask some hard questions. It's like, from multitudes of angles. If I'm a news broadcaster, would I put my job on the line to stick my hand up on air, even though there's time delays, etc., etc., etc.? Would I take a proactive step and stick my hand up in there and go, hang on, we've got to factor in regards to the future of our species, our climate change problems, etc., as a news commentator? Would I stick my hand up and go, oh, hang on, even though I'll probably lose my job and it'll cost me my home, etc., etc., shouldn't we be factoring in the system we live by, its compatibility with Earth? Because, if it's not compatible with Earth, then we're causing problems for our species for multiple generations into the future. Same with our politicians, same with anybody who's had access to education, etc., etc., over the years, and sort of should have, picked up on these things and be asking these types of questions. So, we're all playing a role. We all need to get involved in regards to the situation we find ourselves in. In regards to the skeptics of the world, the folk who play down the situation we find ourselves in re our climate change problems, that's their legacy to carry. If they're not willing to wise up, then so be it. But it doesn't change the fact that we're in a very serious situation in regards to where we're heading as a species, subspecies mammal. This idea of, we're all close to born and bred consumers these days, but the idea that, money is more important to us than Earth, which is what they're basically saying when folk who should know better are playing down the truth of the situation in regards to our climate change problems. The skeptics, as I see it online, they're everywhere you look these days. That's their legacy to carry. The rest of us are going to have to put our hands up and go, well, we've got to ask these hard questions, and then we've got to land in a place where we're prepared to sit down and have a serious discussion in regards to where we're heading as a species. We've got to factor in our cultures, our personal faith, our population, the lot. Vital infrastructure-wise, what do we need as opposed to, it's not vital infrastructure, we don't need it. And I'm talking about, the well-being of our species, the long-term well-being of our species at this point. So, do I have the right to own a vehicle or multiple vehicles or a home or multiple homes? When we're in such a serious situation, Am I allowed to? Will I have a bike, a push bike? I have I've had or two or three of them now. Initially, I had a good mountain bike. I converted to an e-bike, then that died, so I've got another e-bike now. Or, do I need to catch public transport? As opposed to the vehicles, multiple vehicles, homes, etc. Vital infrastructure. We've got to knuckle out that side of things. We've got supercomputers, AI technology these days. It wouldn't be hard to. We've just got to figure out what we consider vital infrastructure to be. That side of things. Water, food, roof over the head, clothes, education, the basic stuff, and then work outwards from there based on, the logistics, acquisition, distribution side of things. Can it be done? Is it viable? Is it equality based? Are some people going to be worth more than others? All of it. We've got to factor it in bigger pictures wise. And in my opinion, we're all the same, whether it be the person who feeds the folk in a piece of vital infrastructure, or a factory that creates whatever component for what we need in the world, right up to the folk who built the factory, or that run it, or the brain power behind what that factory is creating, technology wise, whatever. We've got to factor in just the basic fundamental equality side of things. So lots of angles to come at, but the important thing is that we need to get it done, as in get a process underway. I do see it. There's things going on, but on the other side of that coin, there's a lot of influences in play that are trying to undermine efforts that are being made to try and address our climate change problems. And I'll say it, Donald Trump, the Trump administration. We've got the Paris Agreement, etc., etc. A lot of work's been put into that side of things over the years. The science has been recognised as it is what it is. Climate change is real. It's a problem, and we need to address it. He's come along and, pulled out of the Paris Agreement, etc., etc. And now he's pretty much undermining all legislation in America in regards to progress that's been made in regards to trying to address our climate change problems. So, that's there is work at play in regards to, as much as folk are trying to address our climate change problems, there's folk that are trying to undermine efforts to address our climate change problems. And in the case of Donald Trump, the Trump administration, it's not just an individual. That's one of the superpower nations on Earth, consciously working against trying to address our climate change problems. Now, you take me offline, whatever, but we've got the word ecocide. We've got to start factoring all this sort of stuff in. If I can get in trouble for going down the road here and chopping down a tree on a public block of land or wherever, because it's a conservational thing and I'll get in trouble, I might go to jail, etc., then have a think about it, is all I'm saying. And I'm not shy to go there if it's if it's asked of me, I'll go there in regards to, how Donald's behaving, etc. And it's not just Donald. He's just the obvious go-to sort of have a look at what he's doing sort of thing. So, we've got a lot going on, my fellow human beings. Lots of angles, many things. Population, like I've said, if we really wanted to stabilise our global population, we could get it done, and we could get it done without all the knocking each other off and all that stuff, etc., etc. It's really just a case of equations, education system, make sure we've all got access and we're all being taught appropriately. Like if we teach one adult, one child, two adults, two children, right across the board, we will stabilise our global population within a couple of generations. I tend to work in 100-year blocks, but we could stabilise our global population, and not only that, it would lower, because things happen, car accidents, plane crashes, whatever, bloodlines will be lost, so population will actually lower over time. So there's that side of things we'd have to factor in. What else? I've been here. I've said it for as far back as I can remember. The warring side of things. Quote me if I'm wrong, but it's a massive part of the system that we live by, income-wise. There's a lot of money to be made there. It's just the truth of it. It's part of the way it is. You know, as quick as we destroy something, it's got to be rebuilt. So there's money in it every which way you look at it. But should it be there? You know, should we not be aiming for a place where we can bypass the whole warring process and sort of land in a place where we're working together as a global community in regards to, you know, getting things done, bigger pictures wise, addressing our climate change problems, looking after each other, you know. Just a basic example, an aircraft carrier, you know, we could, quick smart light, convert it into a floating hospital or a school or whatever. You know, and it could rock up wherever it's required around the planet, earthquakes, this, that, everything else. There's always something going on, whether it be climate change or not. You know, so all of a sudden what we're using, you know, for the warring side of things, we could, you know, redirect it. You know, and that's just with the pre-existing technology that we already have out there, let alone, you know, if we get that side of things under control, we'd sort of rein in the creating new technology side of things for that purpose. You know, we could redirect all that to in other directions, all the knowledge that has to go and all the brain power that has to go into developing that side of things, redirect it, you know. It's like well, the floating hospital, floating school scenario, you know. Folks say, well, you know, we need more teachers, you know, more doctors, more this and that and everything else. If we didn't have a price on education and every child was given absolute access to education, the best education that we can supply, you know, odds on we wouldn't have a shortage of doctors and nurses and, you know, educators and teachers, whatever, because most kids I've met over the, because I ask them, that's me, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up, sort of thing. Oh, a teacher, a doctor, you know, it's just, it's common sense sort of stuff, as Donald Trump would say, common sense. We've got to figure out where we're heading as a global community. So, yeah, just a couple of thought patterns to dwell on. What's another one? Our personal face, you know. And I talk about these things all the time, just the basics of it. You know, we could get into a lot more serious discussions, but for that we'd need other people involved, people that are more knowledgeable than me. You know, I'm a bit of a jack of all trades. I have a bit of knowledge right across the board. But another one's our personal faiths. You know, if we brought the main 4 or 5 together, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Judaism, you know, good portion of us are near devout followers of one, or have an involvement, really most of our personal faiths. A good portion of us, 60-70%, one could easily argue, have an interest in one, if not more, of our personal faiths. If we could figure out a common ground there, as in let's work out our differences, and you know, that's a good portion of us that are already involved in regards to, okay, we're going to figure out our bigger pictures. You know, and there's some very delicate things there. Population I've just mentioned, slight variances between the personal faiths, very delicate stuff. But, you know, a mass extinction level event scenario playing out on Earth, is that a delicate situation? It will be when several billion of us are under pressure in regards to, you know, how do we feed ourselves, our children, you know, how do we get through from one generation to the next? That'll be a delicate situation. Mark my words. So yeah, just a quick passing by sort of chat. Don't mind me rugged up or anything. Life circumstances don't have any heating or cooling or anything like that at the moment. It's just the way it is. I won't get into it, not here. But there's a story behind it. Yeah, so just a couple of thought patterns to dwell on. 15 minutes. Yeah, I'll leave it there, my fellow human beings. Yeah, I'll leave it there. Regards, Dion. Peace to you and all, including all our future loved ones as yet to come. Gone.